So there was one point in the marriage, year two, I said, you know what, I think I need a side chick because you're not giving me what I need. It's just going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do. Why do women constantly push monogamy on men? I'm very deliberate about telling her what I want, need, and what I require. There's a lot on the internet about women saying what they want and require. Every time a man says what he wants, oh, you're asking for too much.
Welcome to Chillin in a Lounge. And today, guys, we'll be looking at Riva TV, and she's talking about this guy, Devale and Khadeen Ellis. Now, I'm going to let you know, this is my guy. I followed him years ago before he even hit that show Sisters. And I'll just tell you this quick story. I think I saw him on Facebook, and he had his first kid. He was a few years old, and he was taking the other one, I think, to an appointment or something to that extent. It was so funny. When I'm telling you, it was so funny. From the day I saw that video, I started following him and everything he did after that. And it was history. And that's crazy. But it's that story where he got his kids, he got his first son ready. Then he went ahead and got the second one ready. And I think the second one used the bathroom on himself, and then he had to go clean that one. And then something happened with the other kid, and he did this and did that. And then after that, he got outside. He was on his way out, and he realized he forgot, maybe it was his keys or something to that extent. But it was funny because he was like, I just want to go back home and take a nap. And that was so hilarious to me. And he caught my attention from that point on. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at Riva TV with this reaction. And I don't, we're going to see. Let's just go ahead and take a look. Sometimes I don't like to start talking before we see what's going on. So let's go take a look.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Riva, and I'm back again with another video. Actors, actress, and podcasters Devale and Khadeen Ellis are actually going viral right now all over social media based off of a conversation that they had on their podcast in regards to marriage. Now, there was a lot of the things that they were saying. They were kind of like going back and forth and debating, and a lot of people on the internet are very split on their feelings or opinions about this conversation. Specifically, women being very upset about how this conversation happened. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the conversation, press play, pause, plays, and give you guys my thoughts, my feelings, and my opinion on this entire situation.
So there was one point in the marriage, year two, I said, you know what, I think I need a side chick because you're not giving me what I need sexually, and it's making me feel bad, and da-da-da-da. And Khadeen said, you know, Devale, whatever, do it.
Because at that point, I was just tired of arguing. I was like, that's going to make you feel better in this moment?
And I
Go ahead, my guy.
Immediately, I think we know why most of the women are mad in the comments. Immediately, I think we can all fathom why these women were going off in the comment section based off of this small snippet of the conversation, but there's more.
Yeah, and I said, yo, I'm not saying this as a threat. I'm telling you what I'm about to go do. She said, okay, do what you got to do. Like,
did you really not care at that moment?
I didn't think you were going to do nothing.
Right.
To be quite honest, I was like, oh, this is like a
test.
That's what she thought.
A lot of times women be having conversations.
Honestly, I look at this as just real life relationship conversations. And, you know, sometimes people look at this as drama. The truth is, we all have drama with our wives, with our husbands. Things happen. But let's continue.
Conversations, you have to be very intentional on saying what you mean and meaning what you say. Don't be playing bold. Don't be acting tough. Don't be agreeing to stuff that you really don't want to agree to, because once you open that door, it's going to be very hard to close it.
It kind of was a test. What I wanted her to say was like, you're not going to go get a side chick.
I got you. I got you.
The things that you need because I'm your wife. And when she said, go ahead and do it, I felt like, dang, she really don't care that much about me, that she going to let me go do it. So now I got to go do it.
One thing that women...
You know what? Let me hear what Reba got to say.
Have to understand as well is that, whenever a man says he's going to do something or a man propositions you with any kind of situation, you have to know that men are very logical thinkers, and so there's a lot that they have gone through before it has come out of their mouth. And so when something is presented to you, regardless of what it is, if a man says, don't disrespect me like that again, or I'm gonna leave, or anything like that, whenever a man gives you any of those tidbits of information, you have to take it seriously.
I like this. I like Reba. I don't know where she gets her logic from or her wisdom or knowledge, but this is very true. When it comes to men, we say exactly what we mean. And if you don't take us seriously, you will eventually find out. And one thing I feel like in a lot of conversations I've seen over the internet, um, one thing I believe that black men, especially, because that's who I can speak for, because I'm a black man, is that we want our family first and foremost. But when you realize that you can't control other people, which you're not trying to control, but when you can change circumstances and it's not in your power to dictate what's going to happen, you have to live with whatever happens. And at some point, I feel like men, when they make up their mind to do something, they are going to do it. So I'm going to leave it there. Let's continue.
Because I can guarantee they are being extremely serious. They're not like women who run and just say anything and throw it out there and don't mean it. Men are very intentional when they speak.
So I ended up meeting a girl. We started talking and we became friends. And I said to her, I said, you know what? We can't have sex because we're friends. Like I wanted something transactional so I could do it and throw it away.
Yeah.
So we became friends.
Now to summarize the rest of that podcast conversation for you guys, it ended up obviously not happening. He had the conversation with her. She was shocked because she didn't know that he was really serious. But the root of that issue and the root of that problem was that they had two very different ideas of what it was that they signed up for when it came to marriage. And, they ended up talking about it again on their own personal podcast and got a little bit deeper to the root of that conversation.
And that's what usually happens in relationships. We get into relationships and we don't lay the foundation of what we want. And that's what you got to do. You basically got to lay out what you want, what you're looking for. And that's prior to just even getting into a relationship. But sometimes all of that stuff gets overlooked, especially when you've been with this person for quite a while. And, you just kind of get into the relationship. And not that you get into the relationship, but you've been in the relationship for a few years. And then after a certain amount of time, you're going to get married. You think everything is good. We're good. We're aligned. But sometimes uh, there are things that are missed and not discussed, you know. And I think sometimes that's what happens. Let's continue.
I don't want to say it's a man versus woman thing, but a lot of women do complain, oh, my husband's always on me. Why is he always on me? If sex is going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do, why do women constantly push monogamy on men? If you know that you don't want to have to deal with him all the time just wanting you, why do you push monogamy?
A lot of women don't like these parts of the conversation. Hence why, like I said, they're getting a lot of backlash and flack in the comment sections. And it's mainly because whenever a truth is exposed about women who are, pursuing or wanting marriage, but them not being well equipped with being able to maintain all of the things that a marriage entails, women get quiet. Right? Because, the focal point always lands on a man not being prepared, or he wasn't this, or he's not man enough for me. It's always that kind of conversation. And when that conversation is now flipped.
Well, the truth is, they don't get quiet. They start saying a lot of things. I'm sorry. What about? What's that? They start saying a lot of things, but then at that point, I think it gets emotional because now they feel a certain way or embarrassed, or because now when men start speaking their truth, they come out raw. They say it straight up, straight up. Nothing's being held back. Let's continue.
And a man can say, "Oh, are you woman enough? Are you ready? Are you prepared?" Women get their feelings hurt.
If sex is going to be a chore for you that you don't really want to do, why do women constantly push monogamy on men?
Everything he's saying so far in this conversation makes a lot of logical and intentional sense, right? Women are the ones who say, "Oh, I'm not gonna be no long time girlfriend. I'm not gonna sit here and just play the game with you."
Yeah, I ain't gonna shack up. We not shacking up. We're not gonna be doing this shacking up for all these years, for 10 years and whatnot. But you know what that comes with. And what's crazy is when you first meet this person and all the things that you guys are doing, you know, you already know what they're expecting because I don't think they change, especially for men. We always want sex. That's just being honest. You know what I'm saying? And if my drive is is if I have a high drive, you know it. It's not gonna stop anytime soon. So let's continue.
You gonna have to marry me. And then when the duties come up that require you to present your best self in the thick of it in marriage, you're not wanting to hold your end of the bargain, but you're wanting them to hold their end of the bargain.
Well, who's to say I pushed anything on anybody?
Well, we know that you pushed monogamy on me.
I pushed monogamy. I forced you to get married to me?
Time out. I didn't say you forced me to get married, but did you not say to me that you wanted to be engaged?
One thing I love about them is I feel that they're real 100% of the times. I think sometimes in these conversations, communication becomes difficult. And sometimes in our emotions and stuff, we don't really understand what the other partner is saying. So sometimes it's great to take it slow. And that's what just happened in this situation, I would think. Let's go.
And you wanted to be married before you lived with me?
This is a very, very authentic conversation that is happening on a platform that people need to see because it's the truth being revealed, right? And it's something that a lot of women can relate to. A lot of women put certain parameters on what they want and time frames and stuff like that because of societal standards of what they think they're supposed to do or whatever it is that they want for their life. And so when the conversation then comes forth, they don't like to hear the truth of what actually happened, right? It doesn't feel good to say, "Hey, yeah, you pushed me into a corner and forced me to do this," but it might be the truth.
I want $1 billion. That don't mean I'm going to get it. I can want something, but not.
You right now.
See, I hate when they do stuff like this. When you face them with a scenario, or I would say, based on how you felt on what they portrayed to you, right? And in this case, he said you wanted to be married, and uh, he didn't say she forced him, but that's what she received from him. And she's like, I wanted $1 million, but does that mean I'm gonna get it? Come on, stop. That just stop. And I'm glad he stopped her in her tracks because that's what a lot of times happens, and they try to kind of like switch up and say things that benefits what they're trying to say, but it's not actually reality. Because if you tell us, I want this and I want that, we're going to respect what you want. And we're going to want and try to give you what you want as your man, as your husband as well. So let's continue.
Nobody pressed you to do it. Yes, is that something I wanted? Yes, it was. But
you didn't press me. Are you gonna lie now to the people? Because we talking about sex. You're gonna lie now to the people?
Devale, knowing
you didn't want monogamy?
Of course I did.
But I love how he stood on business and like didn't back down because a lot of times that's what they want you to do because they know you love them. And I would say there's a form of manipulation there. Just being honest. That's what it is. And sometimes they want you to lie to them. But as men, we can't. We can't. Else we're gonna continue to live in that delusion. And we can't.
Why are you avoiding the question?
When that mirror is turned, it is not always nice, but it brings forth some of the most fruitful conversations you could ever have in a relationship.
It's not avoiding the question. I'm saying, does that mean because I want it and I requested that you were going to deliver it? Like, nobody pressed you for that.
Time out. You just said you wanted it and requested it. Do you not hear yourself?
I can make a request. Is the request going to be granted?
What?
Am I
That's
not?
up to
Am I?
you, bro.
Am I not?
As a woman, when you're in a relationship and you are providing an ultimatum to your man, it is because you want him to provide those things that you are asking or requiring of him, right? You're not wanting him to turn to you and say, I don't want to do any of those things. And then you have to then go outside and start over and figure things out from the scratch. You know, you're doing it because you're wanting him to step up to the plate. Now, that puts a man who is in love with you in a certain kind of box, right? Because
But why would you be in a relationship and tell this partner, this is what I want from you, and don't expect him to at least try to give it to you? Especially if it's in his power to do. Like, why would you present him something that he can do? Now, if he can't do it, that's a whole different story. But he can give you what you're asking for, and you're asking for it because you want it. Why wouldn't he do it? Especially if he loves you. Come on, man.
now it's like, okay, even though I might not be ready for this step, I love her enough and I want to be with her and I want her to be happy. I don't want this decision to end our relationship, even if I'm not necessarily ready for that next step. So now I have to juggle on, am I going to, compromise with her and give her what it is that she's looking for? Or am I going to, step away from this very comfortable relationship that I'm in and end up being single?
It's not avoiding the question. I'm saying, does that mean because I want it and I requested that you were going to deliver it? Like, nobody pressed you for that.
Time out. You just said you wanted it and requested it. Do you not hear yourself?
So that is definitely putting a man in a corner to get something out of it. A lot of women talk about it all the time of, giving the ultimatum and pressuring a man, in all the ways that you can to get what you're wanting out of the situation. So it's a truth, right? It's a truth. And again, it's not something that only she is, responsible for doing. A lot of women can relate to doing this.
If you wanted monogamy,
okay,
why would you want monogamy if sex is a chore for you? That's the question.
As mad as women are, this is a very valid question, right? Because a lot of men know,
Hey, there's a lot of that going on nowadays. I don't know if it went on in the past, which I don't think it was an issue, but in this time, things are different. Women are not, when it comes to sex, I feel like they hold back a lot, especially later on in the relationship as you get older. Men, I think, I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's continue.
And it's a talked about thing from women and from men, right? Women will, especially when they doing the girlfriend and they're, showing their representative and they're wanting to get the ring and they're wanting to be chose. They jumping from the ceiling fan, black flip, this, that, like doing it, whatever the case. And then after a certain time, after they, kind of like lock the man down or they get him locked down, that becomes a thing of the past.
If you wanted monogamy,
okay,
why would you want monogamy if sex is a chore for you? That's the question.
And a lot of times, a lot of these women are requiring monogamy. You can't step out. I don't want you to do with nobody else. I don't want you to be with nobody else. But at the same time, if he comes to you and he's requesting it from you, you don't want to, you feel annoyed, you got an attitude, you got a headache, you got all these things. And so this is a valid question from a man's perspective. It's no different than a woman getting into a marriage and he is a provider. He's providing all this provision for you. He's, doing all the stuff for you, taking care of your nails, your hair, all the things, right? And then once you guys get into a relationship, he stops doing that. Now you questioning, hold on a second. Did I get hit with the switcheroo? Because I signed up for this. And now I'm not getting that. Very, very valid question.
I don't feel like I was adequately prepared for marriage. And I've said that before, because if I knew that marriage and monogamy was going to involve me trying to meet you where you were at sexually for years to come, then I probably would have reevaluated if I wanted to be monogamous anyway.
I love what she said here.
She spoke her truth, and even though I feel like that's like, what? For real? What? I'm glad she said it out loud. At least he heard it. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
Love this answer. I really love this answer. And you know why? Because it leads me down a whole different path. Women don't have the proper conversations about what it means to be married, right? They might tell you about like, oh, you have to clean, you have to cook for him, you have to, make sure that you wash his clothes, or, they might tell you the things of how to cater to him functionally in a household way, right? But a lot of women don't have the insight on these deeper conversations that sometimes it is better to let the laundry go. It is better to order something from out to eat. It is better to do a quick pickup than deep clean on a Saturday, just so you can fulfill the actual roles of your relationship in a positive way. I.e., sometimes just getting in the bed. 100%. Because as we know, a lot of problems are solved if y'all just get in the bed.
If I knew that marriage...
Yo, I agree. And I think that a lot of men would definitely agree as well. So, let's see.
Monogamy was going to involve me trying to meet you where you were at sexually for years to come, then I probably would have reevaluated if I wanted to be monogamous anyway.
There are a lot of women who are outside who are, prioritizing a lot of these other things in marriage. And, on paper, it's like, yeah, you have a really good wife. She's, taking care of the home. She's doing all these things, but his needs are not met. And so her saying that she felt ill-equipped, I could 100% understand that. Because there's not, these deeper conversations. You might sit down and you might observe people's marriages and they are, sharing out his dinner and giving him his plate first and making sure this and making sure that. But when it comes to those intricate, intimate things, a lot of women are very mute on that part of the conversation. Sometimes because they're also not performing in that aspect. So they can't give you no advice because they're not doing it either.
Two people are dating. Typically, in society, who asks for exclusivity first, a woman or a man?
I would say woman.
Why are we asking men for exclusivity if we do not want to participate in sex at the same level as men? We have to think about what that does to a man.
Now, I have to say this. I think that there's some nuance to this conversation, right? I think there's a couple of truths that we're going to talk about. One of those truths is the load of, the household load, right? If the household load is primarily on one person and it's not balanced to a certain extent, one person is going to be more tired than the other person. And so it's going to affect the chemistry, the drive, and all of that. That's a very, very, very strong truth. Which led me to the point that I had before of sometimes, women are prioritizing certain things that they think are more important when actually the most important thing is the bond between the two of you. That's number one.
So there was one point in the marriage, year two, I said, you know what, I think I need a side chick because you're not giving me what I need sexually and it's making me feel bad and da-da-da-da. And Khadeen said, Devale, whatever, do it.
Because at that point I was just tired of arguing. I was like, that's going to make you feel better in this moment?
And I
Go
said,
ahead, my guy.
Number two. Another thing is compatibility. A lot of people are not thinking about the compatibility between the two of you in an intimate setting. And so when somebody's drive is naturally a certain, height, right? And you are not that kind of person, or it's not that kind of height, it's going to create that imbalance. And so somebody is always going to be annoyed or frustrated, whether it's the person who doesn't want to do it and feels like they're forced to keep up, or whether it's the person who...
Actually, I think both people are going to be annoyed because one is not being satisfied and the other is being annoyed because they feel bothered. So I think it affects both. And this is where compromise comes in, Now, how much compromise is dependent on the two. So I'll leave that there. Let's continue.
Is not getting enough, it's going to create some kind of imbalance.
I agree. And that part I agree with. Yes, that women are typically the ones that will ask for the exclusivity. I get that. Yes. But what I'm saying is, me as a woman, I don't think that I was necessarily prepared or in the mindset to know that. It's almost like once you get into it, then you're like, oh shoot, like this is what I'm going to have to keep up with.
There is sayings, right? Where they said that, he should leave the house empty and all this kind of stuff. Like there are these kind of sayings, but I don't think that people take it serious enough, right? And I hate to say it, but especially in the era that we are in this whole like, oh, I have my own autonomy and I'm my own and this and that and he don't own me, like this kind of like hyper, I'm so independent and even if I got a man, I want him, I don't need him. It creates this kind of distance between husband and wife, two people in a relationship.
It creates trouble. And that's a form of disrespect to a lot of men, So, and the problem is, a lot of times women say these things out loud to a lot of people, and that's what causes the men to feel disrespected. If you have that conversation with your partner and you guys deal with that situation, it makes the situation a lot better and easier to deal with. But when you start saying stuff like that to other people, it creates a problem, definitely.
Where they don't feel like, this person is owed anything from you in a relationship again, but they are required to give you all the things that you desire and that you want and make sure that you're happy, even if they are drowning.
Us speaking as 36-year-old people know that now. Had I known that at 26, I would have to contend with that, even in the dating realm, then it might have been something I would have reevaluated.
I think it is for the women to have these conversations to other women, to give them the real, depth and gems of what marriage really requires. There's so much preparation for the wedding, the bridesmaids, the dresses, the color schemes, but there's not enough preparation for when everybody else is gone and it's just the two of you. These are the tools that you guys are going to need to survive. And one of those main tools is getting in the bed.
This is where I think when it comes to the men, the wedding is not for the men. And I think when a man decides to get married, he's already focused because he knows what his responsibilities are. And a lot of times, he don't have to think about it. He already know what's going to happen. He know what he needs to do. So now there's communication that or things that he may have to learn during the marriage. But men don't go in with a delusional mindset. We don't go in thinking about what I'm gonna have to do and compromise. A lot of times, I said compromise, but a lot of times men are going in 100 miles per hour, and they will do whatever. If a man is serious, he's going to go in, he's going to try to make sure everything is in control at all times. He's protecting, providing, and just trying to make sure that she's happy. The problem is when women say things like that, if they knew, what's puzzling to me is, well, I shouldn't say puzzling because marriage is not perfect. No marriage is perfect. So her parents are still together as far as I see. And even though they may not have a perfect marriage, I would have expected her to have a little more insight to marriage because she has her parents in her life and they're still together. So I thought that would have been an easy conversation to have with her parents in what to expect when it comes to marriage. But I guess she missed that part. Let's continue.
For real.
Yeah, and I said,
Go ahead.
and I said, yo, I'm not saying this as a threat.
I'm
telling you what
I'm about to
do.
go
She
do.
said, okay, do what you got to do. Like,
Did you really not care at that moment?
I didn't think you were gonna do nothing.
Right.
To be quite honest, I was like, oh, this is like a
A test?
That's what she thought.
Now the story goes full circle and now it all makes sense. Okay? Now, people in the comment sections had their vast opinions. If you guys are unaware of, like I said, of who they are, they have their own podcast. They are known, a very known couple all over social media. They are also a part of Tyler Perry's Sisters Network. She is a star of Tyler Perry's new show, Divorce Sisters. He is the star of Tyler Perry's show, Sisters, as well as the spinoff show from Sisters, Zatima, right? And so, they're very known. known in the relationship space. They've kind of like created their own lane together as a family unit with, them two and their 4 children. And so a lot of people were very disheartened. I guess they'd never seen the interview that they did on that other podcast. I guess they never saw that podcast episode from them. And the people in the comment sections were going off. As you can see, the first comment says, "This why y'all need to stop taking marital advice from people you don't know." Next comment says, "Some things need to be kept private," with an uncomfortable face emoji. Next comment says, "This is exactly why you can't idolize relationships from social media." Next comment says, "We the people don't need to know everything about everyone's situation." Next comment says, "That yellow couch is treacherous. These are the marriages y'all want me to envy." Next comment says, "Marriage is not what folks think it is. Folks have an expectation and it's not that. The divorce rate is so high because folks really think marriage is easy and everyone on the same page and things just amazing all the time." Next comment says, "I have a few questions. Did he find someone else to have a transactional relationship with? What changed to make him no longer desire a side chick? When was it taken off the table? This is just yikes." Next comment says, "I really like them and what they stand for as far as marriage, or at least what they present to the public, but I wish they would have kept this between them. We don't need to know your marriage dirty laundry."
See, when it comes to these two, I love what they have. And like I said, no marriage is perfect, and I would never look at them as they're perfect. They have to have ups and downs as well. Um, the thing with people is they always want to see happiness all the time. And that's one thing I think women don't realize. You can't be happy all the time. Things happen, there's ups and downs. With men, I think we're more realistic, more logical, where we know things are going to happen. It's not going to be uh, red roses or roses all the time. We know things are going to be hard, it's going to be difficult. A lot of times, as men, I know for me, things are running in my mind like, oh, I'm going to have to do this. I got to prepare for this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to try, and I try to do it in advance. And sometimes you can't prepare for everything. And that's the same thing with marriage. But you need to be open to communicating and willing to be open to fixing the issue and working together as a team. So
Next comment says, "This is why many of those 20 years anniversaries are possible. Many people are afraid to be the F alone." Next comment says, "Women need to be more honest. If a man isn't handling his share at home, it creates imbalance, and that imbalance affects everything, including attraction. Go find another man to help carry the weight. Ask your husband if he's comfortable with you doing that." Next comment says, "Some relationship stuff should be kept within the relationship. This only allows people to gossip. Nobody would have known publicly if it wasn't discussed publicly. Keep some stuff private if it's your thing." Next comment says, "As a woman that has been married twice and left both husbands, I always say most people in these 100-year marriages have been through these kinds of things. I'd rather count all the grains of sand on the beach before I stayed in. The only marriage I have faith in is the Wilsons and the Obamas, and if they play in my face, I am cooked. I will never try again." Now, the comment section is very interesting, right? There's a lot of women who are trying to go toe-to-toe with the man. Oh, well, yeah, well, tell your man that you want this and you're going to bring somebody else in or whatever. And, for the majority of women, we know that that is just a tit-for-tat conversation to make him not want to do or act on or ask anything based off of his own needs. But as a woman, if you are bringing in an extra party in the situation to help with whatever, you're the one that's getting dug out. Okay? When a man is doing it different, it's a completely different ball game, completely different conversation.
well, part of the issue was if she knew that she was going to have to, basically keep up with him and his sexual drive, basically. So that would definitely not work in this case. But let's continue.
But also, a lot of the women in the comments were saying how, they should keep this private and they shouldn't be telling anything and they should keep this to themselves. No, they actually should not keep this to themselves, because this is what they are trying to help other people avoid.
I agree. And that part I agree with. Yes. The women are typically the ones that will ask for the exclusivity. I get that. Yes. But what I'm saying is, me as a woman, I don't think that I was necessarily prepared or in the mindset to know that. It's almost like once you get into it, then you're like, oh shoot, like this is what I'm going to have to keep up with.
When a woman is saying she did not understand all it took to be married, these are conversations, again, that we need to have, because it's going to help and equip other women with the information that she did not have. Right? It is important to have these conversations, to talk about the real things in marriage. You guys, it's so funny because people have idolized them for years. The way how he treats her, the way how, he talks about her and he bigs her up. And like, even on Father's Day, right? Like his post on Father's Day was dedicated to her because she made him a father. And, there's all of these kinds of conversations behind them. But when they giving you the real, y'all don't want to hear it.
Look Hawaii ready, you look fabulous.
Yeah, they don't want to hear it because they only like to see the good stuff. They don't want to see the bad stuff. And that's what causes a lot of women to be delusional in relationships, because they don't believe that you can have fights. And that's why kids grow up thinking that their parents never fought. So we shouldn't fight. No. That's how you handle your problems. You got to let it out so it can be heard, so the other partner can know what's going on, what you're feeling, and then you guys can work it out after that. But if you say nothing, you can't fix nothing. So
that fluff is not going to help you stay married. The romance and the flowers and the dedications, that's not the information that's going to help you stay married. When people are sitting down and giving you the real deal, Holyfield, of what it takes, of the challenges that come up in marriages, of the things that you guys could and possibly might go through and how to work through those challenges, those are the gems. The only thing is, a lot of times women don't want to hear those gems because it's going to require them to put more effort than they are wanting to do.
I'm very deliberate about telling her what I want, need, and what I require. There's a lot on the internet about women saying what they want and require. Every time a man says what he wants, oh, you're asking for too much. I'll get one life. If we're going to do this together, this is what I require. That's how it works for us.
A lot of women can't wait to get to the finish line so they don't have to do the makeup no more, dress up no more, the nice pajamas, do the most and try to prove something to him. You always got to do that. Like, newsflash, just in case you were wondering, you always going to have to do that. It's always going to be important, because there's always going to be some other women who are willing to put in that work that you're not willing to put in. They're always going to be on the prowl. Whatever it was that you had, that you were doing, that made him, intrigued by you and interested in you, that is something that you are going to have to maintain. And vice versa. You're going to want him to maintain everything he was when he got with you. So why shouldn't he want that or require that for himself? I'd like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this entire situation. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next one. Love you.
yeah, I felt like they put their life on social media. They came together as a team. They wrote a book, and they put their whole family on display. I think they are fine. I think they're real. They have great parents. They have a good family foundation. Like I said, they're not perfect. They may make mistakes. They may not do things the way we expect them to. But I still respect this brother and his wife. I love their shows, and I would gladly continue to support them. In I was thinking at the same time, so I kind of slowed down. But I would continue to support them in anything that they do. Um, I love it. I love it. And that's the problem with society right now, especially women. They don't want to see the bad stuff. and that's why they don't deal with it, because the time anything goes wrong, they're quick to run away. They're quick to shut down. They don't want to hear anything. Oh, you're disturbing my peace, and that's basically what it turns into. So I think the problem with relationships is that there's no more fixing and no more communication. And whether or not it's a good guy or not, the minute that their peace is disturbed, they're out. So, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that thumbs up. I always forget that. But I just want to thank you for watching, and uh, thanks for your support, man. I appreciate it.